Today marks the episode where we finally move on from the historical Old Town neighborhood. After building more French colonial, architecturally inspired buildings, more than you can shake a stick at, it is time for us to move on to new horizons, new styles, new architectural inspirations, and so on and so forth. And that's what today's episode is all about, is sailing those new seas. For those of you just discovering this channel and just discovering this project of mine, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games in the life simulation gaming space. Yes, we are indeed continuing on in our journey of building out my custom Sims 3 world, SimCity, and today we finally get to cover some new territory. And that's really moving on from the Old Town neighborhood and actually, well, from that side of the map anyways. It feels like it has taken a little longer to just kind of build out, but I'm very happy to finally move on. Even though I did enjoy Old Town for what it was, it's time to actually move on to new horizons, like I mentioned a little earlier. I had mentioned it in the last episode where we were just doing the finishing touches on all of the Old Town lots, pretty much, but today we are actually making a quick little pit stop on our way to the government campus. And you see, that government campus area, or quote-unquote neighborhood, I suppose, is something that just kind of lies north on SimCity. It's where the train tunnels finally surface again, and it's pretty much like on its own lonesome, just in the northern edge there. Now, the reason why we are making a pit stop, as you can clearly tell on screen, is because we've got a couple of beach lots that I need to build out. And today, we are going to be building out both of those, starting with the poolside club that came with the Sims 3 Late Night expansion pack. You see, the Sims 3 Late Night, it came with a bunch of different bars and clubs, and one of them is a poolside club. Now, a big reason why life simulation games really struggle as their franchise continues to expand is that the players themselves need the world creation tools in order to do like the bare minimum world editing in order to fit all of those lots in. In my opinion, I've kind of mentioned this before, but I feel like EA sort of admitted this mistake by editing Sunset Valley way back when Late Night was released to include all of its lots, and it just looked like crap, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So with my SimCity world here, the whole purpose of me creating the SimCity world is just to create and give players a world where they can enjoy the entire franchise's content. And in order to do that, I need to actually make space for all of the possible community lots that one could place. And in this case, I am indeed taking into account that Late Night and Showtime added in a lot of community lots just on those two expansion packs alone, and plus like there are many more here and there. But I'll get more into those builds as we get to them. Anyways, today we are all about this poolside club, and this is a building that I really took a lot of inspiration from Playa del Carmen in Mexico. I was actually living there recently for about 2 or 3 months. And one thing that is like really something that's really popular or trending there is the idea of rooftop pools and all that. It's really my first experience of like enjoying like a rooftop pool. So maybe it's not just in Playa del Carmen. In fact, it's likely not. It's probably just me not getting out enough. Anyways, so it really left an impression on me, and it was something that I really wanted to bring into The Sims 3 in some way, shape, or form. Now, as you guys can clearly tell, we are not on a rooftop at all. This isn't a high rise. I'm sure you're wondering what's going on. And you know, the reason why I decided to actually make this pool club only like a 1-story building is really just because rooftop areas like in any of these shells, they just really don't play nice. Like I find that they kind of glitch out a little bit. It looks kind of awkward when you zoom out of the city. Now, a lot of the shell buildings look a little awkward depending on your wall placement when you zoom out of the city, but that's, that's just a problem that us players just really have to contend with when playing with the game. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but that was really the reason why I decided to just make this like a 1.5 or 2 level story building is because I really wanted to give that feeling of a fake a fake rooftop pool club, but at the same time make it so that it is also visually appealing as well. I don't normally prioritize visuals and aesthetics, but this was one of the cases where I thought that the lot size itself really lent itself well to it, and it was something that I really wanted to emulate here. When I was designing this world in Create a World, I had made a list in a notebook of where I wanted each of the lots to go where. Like, this isn't something that I'm just kind of making up on the fly. This is actually something that was pre-planned, and that included this poolside club. And yeah, you can check out the Create a World series that I've got if you really wanted to know like what my mindset was when actually creating the world. So that is certainly got a playlist of its own in my channel, and it's still going on. I'm kind of doing these side by side with each other, since I did end up finishing the Create a World project to a point where I could export the world and get it to function. So very happy with that still, even though it happened a couple of months ago. All right, so yes, this lot was pre-planned to be a poolside club, and the one just adjacent to it was pre-planned to be a beach lot. And there's going to be a couple of other beaches throughout the SimCity world here, as you guys will know and will be able to see in the Create a World series. So yeah, this is going to be one of the several beach lots that I actually place in this world here. So yes, the design on this was very deliberate. Like, I knew that there were going to be elevation changes. I tried to make it as flat as possible on the sand, but even then, like, I still failed at it in some retrospects, because I did do some testing on this lot afterwards, and something that kind of crushes my soul for both this lot and the beach lot is that Sims can't like relax on the beach or like suntan or something like that. They say that the ground isn't level, but it absolutely is. It's flat. I made sure it was flat, and I even double checked that when I was building these lots. But whatever. Both the lots still perform their functions the way that I intended them to, so I'm not like too mad about that. It's just like one interaction that Sims won't be able to do on these lots here, so they'll just have to kind of go to another beach lot, of which there will be several. But yeah, as you can tell, like the boardwalk or walkway, I suppose, was something that I designed to actually be reminiscent of Copacabana Beach and Ipanema Beach in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I have been very fortunate to actually travel to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and you know, it really left an impression on me in terms of like how the beach was and everything. I had an amazing vacation there. And granted, like, Brazil is a country like where you do need to just kind of you need to know what you're doing, like as in other countries. In other words, just try your best not to be dumb if you're traveling. so yeah, that's kind of my advice there. But Brazil was absolutely worth it. I was completely enchanted by the country when I was visiting it, and so I really wanted to pay tribute to that. Something that isn't a part of the Sims 3 lore, and that's really where the design of the floor tiles really came from. Was it just took inspiration directly from Copacabana and Ipanema beaches. And yeah, I felt that it was really nice. Again, as you can see, like, I am certainly someone that really relies on these foundations to really depict different terrain height changes. So that hasn't changed at all in terms of my own personal style going forward here. But yeah, I really wanted to like this little walkway from sidewalk to beach is certainly something that is continued when we start doing the beach build, which is going to be this episode. The beach build just goes by really quickly. It was something that I did in like 30 minutes or so, just because there's not a whole lot that I wanted to add into the beach, but I'll talk more about that a little later on. I also knew that in Create a World that this lot in particular was going to be the more difficult one to work with because of the terrain changes, and with it just kind of being directly adjacent to the seawall and all that. So I knew that this one was going to be the one that would have the structure on it. Speaking of its structure, the focus point is absolutely the pool, and I really wanted to do my best to try to emulate like what I saw in Mexico and all that, and the rooftop pool experiences that I had there. And so here you'll see it soon if it's not happening already. You'll see me delete the outer foundation just to try to give it that infinity pool look to it. Now, granted, there's always like a little bit of a ledge underneath, like outside of the infinity pool part, but we don't get that in The Sims 3, so I just kind of had to, I just left it as a plain wall, and it just kind of doesn't make sense in that kind of a sense. So yeah, if you are the infinity pool police out there, I am absolutely aware that this is structurally not exactly an infinity pool in of itself, just because the water that would spill over the ledge would really have nowhere to go but the beach. So we'll just have to use our imaginations for that. The inspiration for this one was like the color palette that I decided to take with this was just something that was very white, and I really wanted the woods and some of the plants to really be the highlight here, but the pool in of itself, like being this blue color, is obviously the highlight that I was aiming for. And then just like decorating it with like really woodsy and white themed furniture and all that is something that I really wanted to decorate it with, just to allow the water in the pool to really be the focal point of the poolside club. Now, when it came to the beach area, I kind of wanted to try my best to depict that this would be a private beach in a way. Like you can rent out lounge chairs and all of that, like on the beach side. This would be the place where you would rent out the lounge chairs, whereas the actual beach lot just beside this one will be the place where you just bring your lounge chairs with you. Like they have nothing to offer there for people. So yeah, I was really trying to do my best to like give this that resort style feel without it being a resort. And honestly, like this lot is just a little too small for it to actually be to handle a proper resort build. So don't worry, there are resort builds on the way. I have lots planned out in the future for those, but that's way far out. That is way far out. We won't be getting into any resort builds anytime soon. Although technically, like I did consider at one point doing like sort of an urban resort, but then I really just didn't like it, and there was just too many lots in the Sim City urban area anyways, so I decided not to do it. But yeah, I really like the way that the decor turned out here. I felt that the white and wood palettes combined with the pop of blue was just really what this lot needed and what it pretty much begged for. I even went ahead and changed a lot of the light colors to the cyan just to kind of give it that blue-green feel for when it's nighttime. Speaking of like the function of this lot, by the way, like it opens at 5 o'clock and it goes until 4 a.m. So the nighttime views of the pool really had to be considered, because the majority of the time that Sims would actually spend at this particular nightclub would be at night, which shouldn't be shocking, but because of the way that I had set this up, I thought that maybe it opened up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but whatever. Whatever, it opens up at 5 o'clock for the poolside club. So for those of you that are wondering why I chose what I chose, well, that's kind of why I did it. And yeah, so, you know, in reality, I think that people would visit a club like this or a rooftop pool like this during the day, but it's also got to be something that transitions well into nighttime as well. So that's kind of something that I really had to consider here, even though like the shortened open times during the day was something that surprised me. Another thing that surprised me that I wanted to mention here is that when you put in those pool bars, like you can find the pool bars, they came with the Island Paradise expansion pack. When you place them down on the slot, they actually do automatically spawn mixologists, and that wasn't something that I was anticipating, but it was also something that I was very impressed with. The reason why this is kind of important to mention here is that if you're putting these kind of pool bars all over the place, you're going to have a lot of townies and NPCs spawned in to actually work those roles. And I mentioned it a few episodes back, but that is something that I am trying to monitor myself doing is, you know, being modest about how many objects will spawn townies and all of that. Now, you can get the NROS mod and absolutely control your population more diligently if that is something that you are looking to do. But as someone that knows that people don't really like downloading mods, and I guess I'm including myself in that category as well, I'm trying to do my best to only like place bars and stuff like where it makes sense. Speaking of which, I've been wanting to mention this forever, but I kept forgetting until now. If you have a seasonal lot and you are placing like a bar object or something that spawns an NPC, even like the kissing booths and all of that, if you switch to another season and that object disappears, then that townie then has to find a new job. And I know it may not make sense the way that I'm saying it right now, but what that means is then that it cycles through different townies to take that job. So sometimes you'll have one townie working at a bar, and then the next time they're in the kissing booth, and then you see them again at a completely different bar. And that's just kind of the way that the game mechanics work with the NPCs and townies. And that is something that I try to keep in mind as well. Now, I'm not saying that I've counted up all the bars and all the other NPC spawning objects in my city just to make sure that it's an even amount, but I'm definitely not messing around with seasonal lots more than I have to when it comes to placing those kind of objects and what I want to have my world function as. This actually segues into another point that I wanted to make about seasonal gameplay with this lot. So yes, it's very obvious that the focal point here is outdoor swimming and also enjoying the private beach. Cool, we all understand that. But what parts of it will be functional during winter, for example, or even during fall when the temperatures are a little more crisp? Well, that's really where it all kind of comes together for the interior design. Now, I did struggle a little bit with the interior design. Like, you're going to see me like switch where I place the bathrooms and all of that. Like, I switched it from one side to the other because I didn't want to compromise on the window design that I had going on. And yeah, it was something that I had actually kept in mind because I really just didn't want, Sims to be freezing their pixelated nuts off while trying to swim during winter if they so chose not to, and that there were indoor options to actually enjoy this lot as well. Now, this isn't a very large nightclub if we take away the pool portion. In fact, it would be a very small nightclub. But that's not what the focus of this lot is all about. This lot is something that would be bumping in more so like spring to fall times whenever the temperatures are warm. And it also bears repeating as well. Like, when I designed the SimCity world and Create a World, I did take into account that like the Sims lore really like, it never describes where Pleasant View or Sunset Valley is like really located globally, or it never really described the ecosystem or the climate of it as far as I'm aware. But there's always there's always a mix of palm trees and like evergreen trees and everything. So I've always felt that the region in of itself like really varied a lot, maybe even depending upon the height and the location of the coast. So to me, like, I really took advantage of there being palm trees from like Sunset Valley and Pleasant View, and even like Neighborhood 1 from The Sims 1, because it just kind of suggests that they are in a warmer climate, even though they can still get like a full winter season for some reason. So yeah, with an ambiguous climate, it allows a lot of creative freedoms here, and I really took advantage of the fact that there were warmer climates present. And so yeah, I designed this with that in mind. This kind of a lot would do very well in worlds that did have hotter climates, and I will say that I myself, I only play with like 7 days of winter. I do the other seasons at 21 days. Summer in real life is my favorite season. Winter in real life is my least favorite season. I just think that winter is overrated, and you know what? I make space for people that do enjoy winter. So if you're out there loving winter and like kind of cringing at this video, don't worry. I have the utmost respect for you guys. And I will make sure to make space for you guys to enjoy all the snow that you want. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, back to the lot here. The decorating on the inside was actually very minimal. I felt that the lighting did a lot of the heavy lifting for me in terms of In terms of emulating the kind of mood that I really wanted to set here, I put in some of those aquarium windows that came with late night. It ended up having to be moved to one side of the building, which I was fine with. And yeah, it was the decorating here was very minimal. I wanted to keep it clean, and like I always kept in the back of my mind, like I really wanted clean lines, clean, straight, angular 90-degree lines at all time, and that included the bar design as well. I just wanted to put what needed to be there and then just kind of move on. The effect machines are some objects from late night that I feel can be a little underutilized by creators. And that's mostly because I think they've been forgotten about, but they do produce quite a few different effects. I obviously chose the bubbles because this is the poolside club. Speaking of which, this poolside club I'm deciding right now actually, that I am going to leave it up to you guys to help me name this poolside club. I have no idea what I want to call it. For now, I've just kind of called it Aquarius, which is why I just threw up those statues on the top there, just because it had similar shapes to the actual Aquarius symbol, and Aquarius is like a sign that is commonly misunderstood as being a water sign, but it's an air sign. So yeah, there's some ambiguity there, historically speaking. I call it Aquarius just for now, like as a placeholder, but if there is a better name that you have to suggest, then I kindly invite you to just leave a comment. Who knows, maybe I'll collect the best ones and just throw up a poll on my channel eventually. I would love to do that for you guys. So yeah, obviously the name Aquarius isn't Sims lore inspired at all. Again, I just put it in there as a placeholder name. You guys feel free to drop those suggestions below. I've just been drawing a blank on what I want to actually name this poolside club, so I would appreciate the help if I'm gonna be completely honest there. And I also want to get you guys more involved as well as I continue to build out SimCity and continue to build the lots here. Speaking of which, the beach will be named SimCity Beach. Yes, it's a boring name, but also I feel strongly about that one. I kind of feel like the location is perfect for it, and nothing else is going to be called SimCity Beach. So the beach next door is SimCity Beach indeed. Yes. When we do the tour, which will happen towards the end of the episode, I accidentally left a renegade umbrella in the middle of the pictures there, so you'll just have to use your imaginations to crop that out if you do happen to see it. And yeah, but I do end up removing it before I saved and exited the game. I was doing this one late at night for some reason, and I had just decided to be a little lazy when it came to the object placements. And that's why the umbrella stayed where it did. Speaking of object placements and stuff like that, I did put in the outdoor showers. I believe that came with the Sunlit Tides Gold Edition. I felt that the showers made a lot of sense, being a pool club, and you'd want your bar goers to shower off the chlorine and all of that. And it's also a shower item that Sims don't actually strip down into the nude to actually do. They just stay in their swimsuits and they do whatever they need to do, which is perfect vibe for this kind of a thing here. So threw a couple of those around. I also threw in some towels here and there, just to make sure that Sims could, quote unquote, dry off, and I try to make them as accessible as possible. Something that was also very much a consideration of mine is putting in like that little lemonade stand, and also like a little bit of a hydration bar just outside, just in case like Sims are overheating and all of that. I would like to, give them an opportunity to actually rehydrate. Now, thirst isn't an actual thing in The Sims 3, nor can you get overheated very easily in this game, and these objects you can't even interact with, you can only view. So it's a cruel joke on those pixelated Sims of ours that are spending too much time in the heat. They'll only be able to view the lemonade, they won't actually be able to drink it. But that's what the bars are all all for and all about. They can actually help Sims out there. We just have to finish a couple of things here in the poolside club before we move on to the beach build, but I just wanted to also mention here that like when it comes to the beach itself and the private beach portion, you know, I didn't really need to do a whole lot to it. The beach kind of it kind of does all the heavy lifting for me, because I want beaches to just be clean. I want there to be a little bit of vegetation. So I added in some of those palm trees from Sunlit Tides. I'll speak a little more about that in a second here. But I also added in a fire pit. And this is something else that I want to mention to you guys about fire pits and seasonal lots. So in the Festival Grounds episode, I did actually try to put a fire pit in for the winter season, because I figured, you know, it's a fire pit. People would love that during winter. It does not play nice with seasonal lots, and that's something that I discovered. Like, it doesn't, like, you can plant it, you can put in a fire pit, but it considers itself a common object as opposed to like a winter or a fall object. And that was just something that I wanted to share here in case you guys are wondering why your fire pit is persistently present throughout all of the seasons. For some reason, it's just one of those objects that wants to be, that just wants to stick around. And now this is not a seasonal lot by any means, and I don't ever plan to make it a seasonal lot. I just wanted to mention that while I was looking at that fire pit and placing that fire pit there. Yeah, so the trees from Sunlit Tides are beautiful. I love Sunlit Tides, like, you know, for its environment, for its terrain textures and all that. Like, I used a lot of it throughout the Create a World series. The only unfortunate thing is that the Create a World series doesn't recognize the trees or the plants or the bushes that came with Sunlit Tides, so I was never really able to place those in. So what I'm really having to do is highlight them within the actual lot builds. So that's why you guys will probably see me place a lot of the trees from Sunlit Tides like in the city and just kind of surrounding it. Even the palm trees that I chose in Create a World was something that I had specifically chosen because I thought it would complement the Sunlit Tides trees pretty well. I mean, even in the roller coaster lot, the boardwalk from Roaring Heights, I just placed in one of those Sunlit Tides palm trees just because I thought, you know, I just wanted to you know, start my little battle there, battle between the two sets of palm trees. Yeah, so I really wanted to try to like make sure that it was consistently found throughout the entire map, like just where it made sense. So yeah, that's really where I decided to place quite a bit of these sunlit palm trees and vegetation is just like near the beaches, and you'll see that in the beach build as well when we get to it. We are about to move into the beach build, and when we actually get to the beach build, it just goes by very quickly because I just really needed to place in the platform to get down to the beach area, and I also just needed to place in the vegetation and a lifeguard chair, and it was pretty much good to go at that point. I even placed in like some of those bending Sunlit Tides trees. It just looks gorgeous. I love the screenshots that I got from the beach and all of that, and I'm very excited that there's a beach right in the middle of Sim City for everyone to really enjoy. Now, I did want to just kind of also like mention like going forward from here, since we're really just doing like 2 lots in one video, that was something that I had very much intended. I knew that the beach, the SimCity beach build was just going to be very easy for me to do. I was just literally copying and pasting the style from the poolside club, placing it here, same with the stairs, same with the boardwalk down to the beach level and all that. So there wasn't a whole lot of thought that I actually needed to do. I just needed to do that, plus some trees, an outhouse, and then also a lifeguard chair as well. Like I mentioned before, I do want all careers playable within my SimCity world. And yeah, lifeguard career is certainly one that is a viable career. So I made sure to place it here. And then I also dropped in the surfing station from the Sims 3 store as well. I thought that that was like just something nice to add in. And I also want to mention here quickly as well that there are issues with the swimming. of the beach. And what do I mean by that is that it's actually a little too shallow. And I have to go back in and do a lot more testing with it, because I can honestly make it make sense where it sort of dips down into a lower depth and then just kind of comes up for the rest of the ocean going outwards towards the north there, because there are such a thing as like sandbars and all that. So it could just be, it could make sense geographically that this beach is located on a sandbar and that the area that your Sims can actually swim in is just like depths between the two sandbars. So trust me, I'll make it make more sense, but it's just going to have some minor changes here and there. It's not going to warrant its own editing episode, although maybe no, I'm not going to do it. There won't be an editing episode of it, but I just kind of wanted to make that mention here in case you guys thought that it was too shallow. You would be absolutely correct. I also want to touch a little bit upon the spawners as well. In the beach and in the poolside club, I decided that I just wanted like lizard and bird spawners, like small birds small birds and large birds, and then also some lizard spawners too. With the Sims 3 pets, there came a lot of opportunities to like just grab those kind of small animals and like domesticate them and all that. So trying to make those spawners occur where I feel like they would be appropriately occurring. And I think that, by the beach, a lizard spawner and a bird spawner would make sense, because in some places you'll find iguanas near the beach or in hot climates. So, yeah, that was my thought process with adding in those spawners there. As we finish the beach build here, and again, there's nothing outrageously complicated about this beach. I literally just place down the foundation, copy over the flooring, the stairs, and place down the lifeguard chair, and then some the sunlit tides, palm trees, and vegetation. Again, that's really it. Yeah, so as we finish up here, like what's absolutely next, and I know I've been teasing it for a little bit, but we are going to start building the government campus. And what the government campus really encompasses is it encompasses a couple of the shell buildings, because we've got to add in some careers here. And I'm not just going to like drop in a shell, call it a day. I am actually going to go in and just kind of like build in those lots and actually landscape it just to make it suit the area a little bit better. You'll see in the next episode here. In fact, I bet you in the next episode, I am going to end up doing 2 builds again, like I did with this one, just because the shell buildings are so huge and the actual landscaping that I need to do is so minimal. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there, because each time I say something like this, I always end up doing more work than what I anticipated, so who knows. But yeah, the government campus is next on the list, and it's one that I'm actually kind of anxious about because it does have significant impacts on the skyline. Now, I'm not so worried about the buildings themselves, because the building models were beautifully done. But what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up building out the government campus, and then we're going to move directly into the central business district from there. And we're just going to kind of see how they relate to each other, whether it just looks like crap or not. Because if it looks bad, then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up making some significant edits to the within Create a World, just so that you guys don't have to face the issue that I will have to face. But I'm getting ahead of myself here again. So that might be another project that just lands in my lap. But yeah, one thing that, like, I even mentioned it when I was doing the Create a World series, is that I was very worried that the government campus cluster of buildings is going to feel very broken from the rest of the city, and that's not something that I necessarily want. I just want some certain gaps here and there in terms of like building heights that just kind of crawls right back up into the CBD. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But yeah, government campus is absolutely next. Even though it is mostly shell buildings, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have some neat ideas for a couple of them. And then there is one building that I'm absolutely intimidated by. So it's the other like build that I have been dreading outside of the festival grounds. But I guess I will cover that sometime in the future when I am ready to do so. What is next, though, what I will tell you is next on the list, because that build is not. But we are going to be looking at placing the police station next. That one is going in the city, and I'm very excited for that one because I am indeed going to use the Roaring Heights DLC to place that shell building in. And that building is just, it's beautiful. Like, it is a magnificent shell building. And yeah, Roaring Heights is absolutely one of my favorite DLCs. And I can't wait to actually start incorporating more elements of it within the city and then just trying to get it to mesh all together. Well, if the tours aren't playing, then feel free to stick around for the tours. There are some beautiful shots out there of the beach, and it just really came together quite nicely. I think that both the Sin City Beach and the Poolside Club, which is yet to be named, again, drop down your suggestions below. I feel like it really conveys that this is indeed like a summer city, and that, you know, beachgoers absolutely flock to this city for good reason, and it's because it's got everything, really. Anyways, that's gonna about do it for today's episode. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this series, if you've been enjoying watching me build out this custom SimCity world of mine, then feel free to like this video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you so much again for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.